I just had this thought, right? A lot of people are always like, I did it so, me and my mom didn't have to eat, or I did it so I could be able to kind of change the world, or I did it so I can provide for my family. Like, weren't afforded the opportunity to have provided. Or my mother, she worked a job all the time and da 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 da. When do you recognize that you've made enough money to turn around and make the center focus your family? When would you realize, okay, I've changed, or I made an impact on the world to where I'm either going to pull back and let my money make money in other ways, like other business ventures, or I'm going to continue to hustle the same hustle and milk it for all it's got, versus continue the same hustle and let other people branch below me, and I make a little cut, you know what I mean? But I'm still making a cut enough to kind of keep my net worth at least the same, and if not growing. Or kind of like, was it like Tyler? Like, are you going to build you a financial, what do you call it? Like machine to where, okay, I have this company, or I have this media production, or I have this, and I got people in places that are going to do what they need to do, be able to make their own wealth and help others make wealth while also continuing mine. And I'm pulling out of the limelight because, of course, you got to let some of your other people shine. And I'm just like, I started thinking of that. Like, when I was like, I started looking at like how things kind of transition. I'm like, wow, it's in a good way. Like, even like, who is that? Like, Cruz. I was like, brilliant, phenomenal actor. But I was like, I feel like he pulled that. Like, he could probably still be coming in and I need like an X amount of millions when we do this movie. And it's like, nah, he's probably like off, with his kids or doing what he's doing. Like, what, or either like Angelina, like, phenomenal actress, where you thought she's just going to keep pumping out, pumping out, pumping out, pumping out. But I think like you get at this one pivotal point in your life where you're like, am I going to go too far into making money and not spending time? And then when something happens, it's, oh, I made their life comfortable, but did we spend as much time and possibly doing what they want to do? You know what I mean? Like, simply, maybe hanging out, eating out, going places, seeing things. Like, is this what they want to do? Do they want to sit here in this place where I make money and hang out all day? Or do they want to hang out all day with somebody else? Or do they kind of want to hang out all day with me? You know what I mean? Like, we rise, we sleep in the same house, like eating breakfast and doing this. Like, I remember watching a friend of mine, and they weren't even that wealthy like that, but they were comfortable. And I noticed how they wake up to eat. It's almost like she loves spending time with her dad. And I was like, oh. I would kind of come over here, it's my dad, my mom. Oh, my mom. It's like daddy's girl. And she cherished the moments that were kind of smaller with her dad. Not necessarily, when they went to a function, or, when it was like, okay, well, like, I think they had the dogs, so we'll play with the dogs, da da da. But it's kind of like she liked when they played and did stuff together, like cleaned out the car, little stuff, like go here, go there. And I was just looking like, oh, because I didn't really have that family, mother, father, da 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 da. It was kind of, especially young in my relationship with my mom, was kind of, I mean, it was good, but we didn't have the whole, it wasn't as together because he's working. She got this pressure, that pressure. I was a boy, she was a female. You know what I mean? It's like all this other stuff like that. So it's not like we had that strong structuring or whatever. Even though we had a strong structure in our relationship, I would hope to um, highlight upon. But even though, like I said, I believe it definitely was manipulated from the outside in, um, it was different. And you notice the time that they spent. Like, they have so many memories. I was like, y'all have so many memories where you went there and you did this, and they came and did that, and she has when he went to the this and to that, and spent time, and he taught her this and she taught her that, and she knows so much, and I'm just like, when would somebody also remember that they wanted to spend time? Like, that's so what I want to do with my child, and that's why I get so mad sometimes. I'm like, how am I going to get out of this situation enough to have a kid, one, and then have it. I don't want nobody, but let me block that. But have enough time to grow with mine and spend time with mine, or am I going to have to? This is why I start legaling up, because I'm like, am I going to have to have something affirm because you took a large chunk? And I will go into that. Okay, now I need to try to turn my gears and make some money and da 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 to get it accomplished a comfortability level to where I have moments with mine, and then I don't get too wrapped up with X, Y, and Z. Kind of like I feel like somebody else around me is getting so wrapped up that they're even forgetting. Do you even want kids? Like, am I around people that don't even want family? Because if that's the case, I need to kind of get. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to want to be around people that don't want that, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to live for themselves and live for themselves a lot. And I'm like, I started looking at like our families and kids are going places, they come up here, they travel trips. I'm like, wow, like I want to get to that point. I don't want to sit here amongst people that don't mind the same type makes them da 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 da. Like I noticed one or two individuals that came, they linked up, and then it's kind of like they left off together. I'm like, that's kind of where I'd rather be. It's either linking up or affirming myself in a situation to where I'm comfortable enough to have my own provide and not get caught up. And it's like that's a big mode. That's a big move. That's a big thought. It's not like, oh, it's anything wrong with you, da da da, you're a bad person. It's just that sometimes the situations around us, you have to realize when you have to say, hey, yo, 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 like I'm it, and I'm that guy that people want to come to. Like, I got the business connect. I know this person, I know that person. I'm moving, I'm shaking, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Learn when you have to pull back and start being. Remind yourself, okay, I did it for this. I have this. Maybe make a little more security net, and then kind of tell people, yo, I got, you know, I can't right now. Like, I got to go back to the crib. And I imagine this person saying it a lot. I can't do that right now. I'm with the kids, and da 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 da. When you get to that point, it's like you really, to me, from just outside looking in, I'm like, when you want to be like reaffirming that situation, and that's where I'm like, I feel like I should already be. And coming back to New York, even analyzing myself and my situation. When I was in Georgia, that was my last. Oh my God, this can't be. Like waking point, and immediately I was like shut down in my room, thinking. I was like, something's not. This isn't right. It doesn't feel okay. You know what? Job it, 2 job it, 3 job it if you got to, but you got to get somewhere where you're comfortable, somewhere where you can save, or if not save, get to where you get your creative wheels thinking and then returning. Like I wanted to do the cooking with Kiki thing. And I was like, that would have been a hit. I already know. It was like the kitchen set up for it. You teach me how to shop and da da da. And I'm doing this and doing that. I can start writing. But in the same breath, as I put the clip up online, I was like, other people had other plans, and I'm just like, when do you realize your other plans are affecting my life? It's not really me. You can sit, you can try to say, you can try to blame. You know, people always try to, oh, you did it to yourself. Don't ever blame yourself. Sometimes the circumstances around you will consume and have you blind. You be like, oh my God, like I didn't even realize. When you get older, you be like, I didn't really spend as much time. And you be like, oh crap, right. But 9 times out of 10, the people around you are. It's like, just because like you're not, and then you start catching that. I don't know why. I just feel like something just hit me in the head for a minute. But you have to sit and you have to really take hold to the blessings that are in your life. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes people are like, oh no, I definitely do. You're right. I'm sure you definitely do. But what was that thing growing up that you liked to do when you didn't have, or when you weren't the person you were, or before you got to the level that, granted, you probably can't go back to doing some of the stuff because of your name, or you can't go back to doing the same stuff because of what it was. But, like keeping that level of communication up. Because I also noticed too, a lot, you always hear about certain issues plaguing a certain demographic. And I was like, is it because the same thing somebody was always working? You know what I mean? Like, you amass such an amount of money, and then it's like they got all this pressure. And do you want that pressure on this person? Like, is it, you know what I mean? Like, can they handle it? Are they built? Not even can they handle it? Are they built for it? Because I'm sure they are their child. But what would all those pressures supersede onto yours? And you try to block it, you try to mask it, and you try to do this, you try to shield, and you try to, well, they can handle it. Well, I got people for that, da da da. But you have to also realize, is it what they enjoy? Is what I think. Look into their eyes and really ask yourself, what is it that you like? You like fire trucks? Have we ever went and seen some fire trucks? Or you like, you know what I mean? You like race cars? Let's just make this all about you. Like, let's make this period all about you. And when they were like, yeah, this summer, my dad was like, all about me. He dropped everything. And it was like, we went to Disney World. We went to, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, he woke up, we ate, we spent time. We were like COVID. I was like, COVID, people sit there and they rag on it so bad. But I was like, if anything, you got to know the person in your house more than you thought. I was like, it shut everything down, I think, to make people realize what they have and how they should be treating each other. How they, well, I wouldn't say distancing, but distancing from things. And spending time by yourself, like, you notice a lot. When I spend time with myself, I was like, I really like focusing on like my health and going to the gym and doing this, and I was busting it out like crazy. But then I was like, also like, I feel lonely. I was like, wow, I don't really. And then I was like, well, do I want this and do I want that? And I was like, well, I reaffirmed to myself, I don't really see that unless it's just like this phenomenal. We're talking the other one. I was like, it's just that. But like, I don't really have that I long for. And it's like, I love what kids. I was like, why don't I have kids? Why? Because all this stuff is going on. Because I think if anything, whatchamacallit was a bit of a blessing and should have shown you some stuff. You should have spent more time with your dog. Did you realize your dog talks to you? I mean, really talks to you. People don't realize animals really speak. You might not catch it because you'd be so, oh, look at him. he made a funny noise, or oh my God, look how he's looking at me now. Like, you sit there and you spend more time, and like, you've been going away, leave them at the house. Now are they communicating with you a lot more than before? Like, are they more like up under you? Are they following you around the house? Did they hang out more? Did they, like, what happened? What changed around you? What did you notice? Like, it's like, and you have to get that balance, I believe, in order for the world to kind of progress. Like, you have to get that balance. And then, of course, the people that are doing what they shouldn't do, they would notice. You know what I mean? Like, it's now more evident. It's now, it should be more evident. It's now a lot of things that you can kind of sit yourself around and focus on. You're like, wow, this is deep. I didn't realize this was going on so close to my house, or I didn't realize this happened so frequently. Like, wow, what is all of this? And you take it. Was this going on the whole time? You know, this stuff change up and you never really noticed because you were so busy. This was something speaking this whole time. You know, like, it takes the world a minute to breathe and sit and focus to realize what you have, and you have to cherish every moment because you never know. You know what I mean? Like, you really never know. You never, and don't mix and say all that stuff because I'm getting something and mixing something, but you have to focus and live every day like, and like I said, I wouldn't ever want to mention stuff ill and mix, so that's not my forte. But realize what blessings you have and focus on them. That's why, again, I'm sitting here like, even after all I've been through, I'm still like, you know, I need to try to figure out something. I was going to try to write, but that was, or direct, and that wasn't. I'm just like, it's a lot different. And then somebody's like verbalizing, calling. I'm like, how do you work with that? I haven't really seen anybody or been around anybody else that's going through some of the similarities where I can pull from their flight. If you get my drift. I haven't been around somebody and they're like, oh, this is what I deal with all the time. I'm like, oh, okay. And this is how I handle it. Or this is how I maneuver. Now, granted, there could be somebody in the works, but I'm like, that's in the works, babe. You know, I would have loved to have seen that up close and personal while it was occurring. But I don't know, to each his own flight. I always say you have to not forget. Something happens, you have a